Wearily, drearily, half the day long, flap the great banners high over the stone. Strangely and eerily sounds the wind song, bending the banner poles. While all alone, watching the loopholes spark, lie I with life after dark, feet tethered, hands fettered, fast to the stone. The grim walls square-lettered with prisoned men's groan. Still strain the banner poles through the wind's song. Westward the banner rolls over my wrong. A Good Night in Prison by William Morris.
Good evening, Undertakers. Welcome to the Empty Casket podcast. I am Tanya Gilroy, and this is Bill Bryan. Tonight, we take you on our investigation of the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility in Warwick, New York. But first, some housekeeping.
So we don't have a whole lot currently planned going forward. We're going to try to get some local events in, but there's nothing solid just yet. But July 9th, we are going to the Conjuring House.
Yeah, my birthday.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. I've heard stories recently, and
So we're hoping that it turns out to be awesome.
Yeah. We did do one investigation that we're not talking about tonight, the Shawnee Cemetery, which is a cemetery by Tanya's house. That'll be in our next podcast, which will probably have the Shawnee Cemetery and whatever other local event we do in the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But on to the main show. So, as Tanya said, we went to the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility in Warwick, New York. Now, if you watch Ghost Nation, you've probably seen it.
There was a lot of shows, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Ghost Nation was the big one that had it.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little history of the building. It first opened in the 1920s as one of the first alcohol rehabilitation centers, and then became a vocational training school for boys from 1932 till 1975. It sits on 740 acres, and it would hold up to 500 boys from the ages of 13 to 15. It became the Mid-Orange Correctional Facility, a prison, in 1977, and it closed down in 2011. It held an average of about 750 inmates, although it would go up to 1,000 inmates at its maximum capacity. On a little side note about one of the inmates, and this will become important later in the investigation, during the DeFeo case, which is the murders that happened at Amityville, there were two pictures found in the case file that just didn't belong with the rest of it. The seventh body and the bloody shoe. This caused a lot of confusion among both paranormal investigators and the detectives for a while until they figured out where they came from. Well, it turns out those were photos from a different murder. The murder of an 11-year-old girl by Vito Cosia. Vito will pop up again later. So after the prison closed, the town of Warwick, New York, took over ownership in 2014. 36 acres became the Yard Sports Village in 2015, and then that was bought by Christian and Raluca Fuchs. Christian Fuchs is a world-famous soccer player. They took it over in 2018, and they turned it into the Hudson Valley Sports Complex. So if you go there now, there's huge soccer fields where some of the buildings once were. And the intent was to turn several of the buildings into dormitories for the kids. However, they can't get anybody to actually work in those buildings. They need a lot of renovation, and contractors up and quit just days or weeks into the project because of the paranormal activity. So they decided to scrap that idea and open it up to people like us.
And now they're talking about adding in
they do
escape rooms.
Escape rooms, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna. I think they said they do a haunted house during Halloween, and now they're gonna add escape rooms to it. So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Get locked in an escape room with an actual ghost.
I'm up for it.
2018 also saw part of the property become the Wickham Woodlands, which is a town park, and we drove through that.
Oh, that was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And then in 2020, another building on the property became the Drowned Lands Brewery. Now, we didn't know about that when we went, and when we go back, which we will be going back, we'll probably stop there for dinner. I heard the food was really good.
It looked packed when we were passing by it, so.
Mm-hmm. So we did this with Ghost Hunts USA, which is the same group that we did White Hill Mansion with. For this investigation, our hosts were Rob, Patrick, and Mike. And then the guests were myself, Tanya, Mike, Marie, and Marie. Yeah, that's right. 5 guests.
Yeah.
Usually they have like 30 or 40 people
yeah,
usually?
he was shocked. And I think we would have had 1 or 2 more, but they canceled. Or they just, no shows. But, according to Rob, this was a very unusually small group, especially for such a big facility.
Yeah, and even after the group investigations, Mike and Maria, the guests, and then Patrick, the host, left.
Yeah.
So there was only Rob, Mike, you, me, and Marie.
Yeah, it was very small. And normally we wanted small groups. And I can see where there's benefits and where there's downfall. According to Rob, who was the main host, and he's actually the lead of the East Coast director of Ghost Hunts USA. He said that, for this particular location, the more people, the more energy.
Right, and he said that they get more stuff when they have more people. So we were really excited that there was such a small group. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't get too excited. Less happens when there's less people. That in this location in particular.
I'm curious. I mean, I think that we got pretty good stuff just as the small group we had.
I actually wanted to say something about that before we got into the actual investigation. Now, I don't know about you, but when we left and we were driving home, we had a blast. It was an awesome night. The people were awesome. We had a lot of fun, and we definitely got evidence. But driving home, I felt like the evidence we got was not as good as what we got in like White Hill. And going through it, that was dead wrong. Like, no pun intended.
No, you intended that pun.
I maybe a little. No, the stuff we got was amazing.
But I'm curious to know if it would have been even more amazing if we had more people.
Probably. But I think I figured out why I didn't quite think it was as good. Because when we did the Estes method itself was not as good as usual.
No, and I wasn't really like.
And that's kind of our thing.
Yeah, we kind of really linked to that, and I was just not feeling it. But we'll get into that. We'll start from the beginning, and we'll work our way over there, and we'll add that.
Yep.
That in.
All right, so we met up in the main building, but we didn't investigate the main building just yet. We'll come back to that. First, we went over to the next building over, which was the mess hall. So, and for those of you who don't know what a mess hall is, it's the cafeteria. So we go there, we get the equipment review, going over what the different pieces of equipment is. When Rob went and was telling us about the REM pods, he made a point of pointing to us and saying theirs is way cooler.
We have coffin pods.
Yeah.
And we will be having an Etsy shop soon.
Yes, we are going to start selling some of our equipment.
Yeah.
Rob convinced us to do that. So the first thing we did once we started actually investigating was EVPs. We actually did a lot of EVP sessions this time around, more so than we usually do, and that was mainly because Rob has an obsession with EVPs.
Yeah. And that's something that I think we're learning as we dive into this, is that everyone has their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we like the Estes method. Rob is very, like, gung-ho on EVPs.
Yep.
And there's people that are all about, pendulums or
Dowsing
rods or,
K2s, REM pods. Yeah.
the apps and stuff like that. So everyone has kind of their niche, what they like, and that's pretty cool.
This was the first time that we got to use the infamous DR60.
Yes, we actually got to see one live.
And I gotta say, the quality of the AVPs we got were phenomenal, to the point where we did this on a Friday night. Sunday morning, we both went to different flea markets looking to see if we could find them. Well, I didn't get to
go to mine, but you went to your local one.
And then we went
Sunday.
to the indoor one too.
Yeah, we went to. So now we're on the hunt for the infamous DR60.
Yeah, I mean they're going on eBay for way too much money. So if anyone out there has one and
wishes to donate,
well, we'll pay for it. We just don't want to pay thousands of dollars for it.
No. It's like the golden ticket.
Yeah. So the first EVP session we did, we had Mike go out and use the DR60, and there was a very specific spot that Rob wanted him to do this at. It was the spot where Vito was murdered, and he would not tell us how he died. He wanted us to try to find that out for ourselves. He never told us.
I was about to ask, did he ever tell us how he died?
Nope, and I couldn't find it online either.
Well, it's a prison. Middle of cafeteria.
I'm assuming shanked.
Shanking.
But, well, I kind of like that we don't know, because it means that's something we can try to find out next time we go. Anyway, so right at the beginning of the recording, you hear Vito straight away out of the recording. So Mike's asked, are you here? You can touch me. What do you know about Amityville? So Rob told us ahead of time that there was a connection between Vito and Amityville. Didn't tell us what it was. I had to look that up afterwards. We did get a EVP after what do you know about Amityville, but it was unintelligible. He asked him to knock 3 times. Should we go downstairs? Because downstairs was the next place that we were planning on going. That was about it. So next up, Tanya gets to do an EVP session where Vito died. And the first thing she says is, "How are you?" And we didn't hear it until I started going through this audio, but she got an answer. So I'm going to play that for you and see if you hear it, and then I'll let you know what I hear. So what I hear is, "How are you?" Good.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. You asked, do you want to talk about Amityville? You got nothing. And then you said, did you know DeFeo died this year? And what I heard was, well, I won't tell you. I'm going to play it first. I'll put that in here. What I hear is, did you hear DeFeo died this year? I did.
Now, here I was thinking that he had more of a connection with DeFeo than just the pictures being shuffled incorrectly into the case file.
He may have known him. I don't know. But,
it was worth asking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you go on to ask a few more questions, but didn't get any responses. No EVPs there.
No.
That was pretty much all we did in the cafeteria at this point. We do come back to it later in the evening, so we'll cover that later in the podcast.
Just like our last time, what Ghost Hunts does is they do a group session. They basically take you for a tour around the facility, and we do, different types of
Group
investigations.
Yeah. As a group,
but
we do.
You know what? As for as small as a group as we were, we basically hung out together. I mean, it was a group investigation all night.
Yeah, we did the group investigation, and then, well, we did get to investigate a little bit on our own.
Yeah, but that's only because they took breaks and stuff like that. So it wasn't we went off on our own. Yeah. It was so small that we just all hung out and
especially after Mike, Marie, and Patrick left. We're just like, well, we wanted to go down to the tunnels, and we didn't know how to get there, so they had to show us. And like, well, let's. I'm not
complaining; they're an awesome group, so it was awesome to have them there. So, but yeah, so what they do is, and I'm assuming this is kind of across the board what they do in all their ghost hunts is they do a group tour with the group investigation. So we go throughout, and then the protocol usually is
you get free
time. So either you team up or you go on your own, whatever you wish to do.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So then our next stop was the next floor down in the mess hall. So straight away we go down there. Rob's kind of explaining what it is he wants us to do down there, and we heard a giggle. Not just an EVP, we heard the giggle, and I caught it on audio.
Did you? I didn't hear that one.
You didn't hear that one?
I heard the giggle. Like I heard.
You didn't hear, but you didn't hear the audio of it?
I didn't hear the audio.
I'm going to play that for you right now. So just so you know, usually when I say I'm going to play it here, we just stop talking. We put a pause. I put it in post. This time I'm actually going to play it off the computer so Tanya can hear it.
I know. I remember hearing it because like right as we got into the room, we're kind of just all like figuring out what to do, and then that's when we heard it, right?
Yep. All right, so I'm going to play that right here.
It was kind of like behind me, like where I was standing. There was like it came from that direction.
I'll do it, but don't tell him to play with my hair. I know, I'm not gonna. All right. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you just hear that? Did you just giggle?
You did get it.
No. Did you just giggle, Tanya?
No.
You heard that?
I heard something. I didn't hear a giggle, but I heard something.
It was like...
Yeah, we got that giggle. So we got disembodied voice last time. This time we got a disembodied giggle. So it's something.
Not as clear as a disembodied voice saying no. That's like the creme de la creme.
True. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I was so happy we caught that. I'm so happy we caught several of the things. Well, yeah. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So what Rob wanted to do was actually send 2 women down another floor to be by themselves. So that was Marie and you.
Yeah, I actually volunteered because I am such chicken shit.
Which I actually have on audio during the EVP session, Tanya saying, I am the biggest chicken shit ever.
Part of my desire is to get over my fear of being alone like that. Like, I don't know what I'm expecting, but I think, like, they're just all going to come out of the woodwork and start, like, scaring me. So I have to build up tolerance, let's say.
That's true. Especially
because
with
if I want to be a ghost hunter, I can't be afraid of the ghosts. And I'm not. It's that that fear of unknown, that being by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't even sleep with the lights off when I'm by myself, so.
So Rob takes you guys downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
He comes back up, and what he first says to me is, all right, we are going to ask for the spirits to do something to them. So, Bill, you get to choose. What do you want to happen to Tanya? And I said, well, just pulling her hair will be fine, but it can't just be a pull. It has to be a yank. And Rob gives me this sideways glance and says, look, I don't want to know that much about you guys. I'm like, no. She's very skeptical, so it's got to be a hard yank that she can't question it.
I'm very skeptical, but I'm also scared.
Yeah.
I'm such a hypocrite. But no, you're right. A little brush or something, I probably would have mentioned it. Because I think I mentioned I did feel something, like something on my head or something. But hard yank, like an obvious tug,
Yep.
would be like, okay, yeah, you got me.
Which is why I asked for that. Of course, Rob looks at me and goes, wow, you guys are brutal. But you would come up and we listen to your EVP session and you asked for something even worse, so I don't feel bad anymore. She says, upstairs is a guy named Bill. Turn his hat, touch or scratch his left shoulder. You asked him to scratch me.
I meant like scratch when you have an itch. I did clarify it. I said like, not scratched as like, brutally like scratch. More like, you have an itch. Can you scratch my back? Scratch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I figured the left shoulder because that's usually my itchy shoulder. So you would know like, okay, she totally sent that message. I mean, I try to fix it.
Anyway, Marie got some EVPs. Now, she had several that were unintelligible. Rob was supposed to send me the EVPs that were on his DR60, but he hasn't done so yet. So all we have is my recordings of
his
it.
recording.
Yeah, so they were, most of them were unintelligible that she got down there anyway, but I'm not going to even bother playing them because they're even worse on my recording. However, she got one really good one.
Mm-hmm.
She asked, "Are you happy?" And so here I'm going to play the response she got.
Are you happy?
No, I'm not happy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Are you happy?
No, I'm not happy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So you could hear it right there in the audio. Hell no, I'm not happy. Like that was like took us all off guard when we listened back to that, because that was very obviously a hell no, I'm not happy. Which makes sense. You're in a prison. Why would
You're
you be
not
happy? So yeah, that was one of the cooler EVPs we got.
I am kind of disappointed I didn't get anything to my responses, but oh well.
Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't tug your hair.
I'm disappointed they didn't scratch you.
You can feel the love. So next, Mike and the other Marie. Oh no, same Marie. Mike and Marie go down to the basement. They heard some tapping. That was pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Which that could be. I mean,
a whole lot of different things.
There are like
I don't think there's any running water in there though.
There's birds.
Yeah, there are birds. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to kind of watch with certain things like taps and stuff like that, especially in buildings like that. It's totally under renovation.
And we should note that it was windy as all hell.
Yes, it was the windiest night we've had. It was.
There were some portions of the audio where I couldn't hear anything that's going on because you just hear the wind, the banging of stuff, all because of like it was like crazy.
It was
windy.
intense, so it could have been a lot of the wind hitting against open metal or
yeah. So the next place we went was a building called A3. Now this one, Rob was very excited for me and Tanya to go into because he realized very quickly we knew what we were doing. So he wanted us to do A3 because A3 is where he said he gets the most stuff happen. And a lot of it's not always the nicest stuff.
And I see that figure too. Like that gray figure.
Let's hold off on explaining that one.
Scratch that.
So we get there and they're like, all right, we're going to take a little break before we continue. So everyone goes to the bathroom, and me and Tanya are like, well, we're going to stay here and investigate.
Yeah, this is, I think, the only place that we actually had, like,
by ourselves. Yeah. And it's a creepy-ass place. Like, it was like, there were areas of it that I was frightened. Not because I felt anything weird or anything, just because it was an ultra-creepy place that kind of, like, I was psyching myself out.
Yeah, I think I was totally psyching myself out at times too. We'll get into it in a little bit how I felt, but I think just like the layout and things, you're in the dark, you're in totally like a it's not the prettiest place.
No. Well, it kind of, honestly, it kind of had that decrepit
Very
prettiness of
decrepit.
it.
Yeah. It's that decrepit,
Mm-hmm.
run down prison. It's a prison.
Yeah.
So.
So Rob suggested we go down. So when you enter the building, you come right into the corner of 2 hallways. So he suggested we go down one hallway because he had a cherry place down there, and he said that he would often put somebody down there by themselves, and very rarely would they last down there. They'd usually get up and run out. And we want to go see what that is. But then the other hallway was a whole bunch of rooms. Like it looked like a line of prison cells. We went down that way first. We ended up leaving one of our coffin pods down there. And, again, we didn't really feel anything. So we're like, well, let's go to that room Rob told us about. As we start walking, I think it was you asked, could you let us know you're here by making a bang? And she said that, we heard a very loud bang. It
Probably
could have been the wind, but the timing of it, even immediately afterwards, you even said, "Oh, thank you. Can you do that again?"
Yeah.
Like in the moment, we thought it was a response. Whether or not it was, I don't know.
And speaking of our coffin pods, I don't think they went off once.
No.
I don't think we got. And now, mind you, last time they were going off
like crazy.
When we were in the
cultural center.
Going
off like crazy.
They were going off like crazy. This time, none. And I think Rob said
they don't really touch.
They don't mess with REM pods and stuff much.
No, like even his pods, they never went off.
It goes to show that not all equipment works.
Yeah.
And not that it doesn't work. Maybe they're just not receptive to it. Like they like us, we prefer some things over another. Maybe they are more picky over the types of things they're willing to work with.
Which is why you need to have a
variety.
lot of tricks in your bag.
Yeah, we're like magicians.
Mm-hmm. So we go into this room, and there was a bunch of cubicles pushed off to the side, and we ended up, actually ended up taking my camera back down to that hallway with the rooms, put it there, and just had it pointing down that hallway for like the next hour. I was so
determined.
sure.
You were so determined.
I was so sure that I was going to watch that video, and I was going to see something poke out of one of those rooms. But
that's funny because I've had that feeling all night. Like, and I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, but like later on in the night when we're in those areas where there's all those multiple rooms and you just like let the camera roll, I was expecting to see something poke its head.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, that shift like coming out of the corner.
Yep.
Like something, like it was like you're just waiting. It's the anticipation.
So I'm just going to throw this out there now. All of the video is up on our YouTube channel. It's entirely possible that I missed something. Feel free to go out and watch it yourself, and if you find something, let us know. But getting back to what happened.
Yeah, back to A3.
Yep. So, we now put the camera down. We both go back to that other room, and we're asking questions. We're trying to get a response. We had your camera going. We had the recorders going. Just trying to get a response, and really got nothing. Mm-hmm. Until we got this really loud bang, which again was probably the wind, but it scared you, and because we were on opposite sides of the room, you jumped up and ran over to me.
And I was right in the middle of telling a good joke.
You were too.
They must not have liked it.
Yeah, we instead of asking the normal questions, I asked for a joke. I didn't get one, so then I told Tanya to tell a joke, and she started to, and then the bang and scared, and then Rob and everyone else came in, and we're like, all right, so group investigation time.
And not to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to. Shut up. We have come to a conclusion that we are going to be more mindful of the questions we ask. It seems like everyone asks the same questions, and how could you not? It's, you go into these things, you kind of like, what's your name? How are you doing? You try to establish some type of connection.
Yep.
But think about it. If you have multiple people coming into your home or wherever you're haunting, and they're constantly asking you the same shit
You're
over
going to get
and
tired
over
of answering
again.
it. Now, asking what your name is and things like that, that's just being polite.
And we're getting tired of asking the same questions
Yeah.
ourselves.
So we made it a point to try to ask different questions, like, could you tell us a joke? When you were in the basement of the mess hall, you asked, what was your inmate number?
Mm-hmm.
You said, I have 2 kids. Do you have any?
Yeah.
What was your favorite commissary? And even Rob made a comment about how good the questioning that you were asking.
So part of ghost hunting is thinking out of the box, not just in terms of how you're investigating, but how you're questioning.
Yeah. And honestly, one of the hardest bits of ghost hunting is figuring out what the hell question should you be asking.
Yeah, especially when you don't have a plethora of information.
It's easier with the Estes method because then you kind of get that 2-way back and forth. But if you're doing EVP sessions or anything like that, there's the polite, hi, I'm Bill, what's your name kind of question to start off with. But then you kind of have to get a little creative, and that could be difficult.
And you feel like an idiot sometimes talking to yourself.
True, but I'm starting to get over that.
Yeah, me too, honestly. So anyways, back to what we were talking about.
Right. So for the group investigation, we go into this one side room. It was a more open room, had a big fireplace in it. And so Rob started telling us a little bit about the building and some of the stuff that he gets there. And so he told us about Richard, who is a supposed serial killer who haunts A3. Now, this was a minimal security prison, so it's unlikely there was a serial killer in there. Mm-hmm. And the way Rob was describing it, that somebody at some point said something about Richard, and then that story progressed, and more Richard started coming up. There's a possibility Richard might be a tulpa. And for those of you who don't know, a tulpa is something that comes from the Buddhist tradition, in which many people concentrating on kind of generating an entity that didn't exist before. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a thought entity that comes into existence only because people believe in it.
It's like a multitude of people believe it, are thinking of it at the same time, and it's just creates, like, for example, like a popular one nowadays is Slender Man.
Yep.
It started off as just a fantasy fiction character made for, creepypastas, and now people claim they've seen it, and now you're finding, like, people are saying, oh, there's history regarding the Slender Man, and yada, yada, yada. It's actually a well-known tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, it's highly possible that a lot of things that we encounter are manifestations of a collective thought process.
Yeah. Yeah, it very well could be.
Which doesn't mean it's not paranormal, because that
it still falls in the realm of paranormal.
Is insane. Like, imagine just being able to think, everyone thinks of something all together and you create it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not saying that it's just probably not a human spirit. It's a manifestation of energy.
I never really thought of this until just now, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was that mini series of Merlin where Sam Neill was Merlin.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the whole premises of it, spoiler alert, was that they were trying to get people to stop believing in Christianity and continue worshiping the old ways, because if you with less people worshiping the old gods, they became less powerful and eventually ceased to exist because no one was believing in them.
Kind of falls in the light of Peter Pan, where if you stop believing in Tinkerbell, you don't believe in the fairies die.
Mm-hmm. So
when you stop believing, it loses its power.
Yeah. So it's almost
Santa
like
Claus is up there too,
Oh, yeah. It's yeah. So this whole idea of a tulpa is kind of universal.
Yeah.
So the other person he told us about that haunts A3 is Charles Mcbride, who was a kid who allegedly hung himself. However, based on some of the EVPs that Rob has collected over his years investigating there, might have been murdered. So, like we often do, new location, new methods. So this time was the Phasma box, which admittedly is not something we really like.
No.
However, I'm going to say this. The Phasma box app is one that John and Carrie Ann use. And they have said that they don't like apps, but this one has proven itself. Rob has says he doesn't like apps, but he said this one has proven itself. I'm still hesitant because just because it proves itself does not mean it's good. It means it could have been programmed really well, and it could be listening through the microphone of your phone or whatever. The only way I'd believe it is if we could put it on something that didn't have a microphone.
Yeah.
And then see how well it does.
I mean, maybe that's something we can try.
That's definitely something we should try.
I'm
going to add that to my list of things to do.
We have a lot of lists.
Yeah.
But that goes back to me saying how everyone has their own methods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, these are paid events. These are people that, are either part of a corporation or, so they're trying to also incorporate all the techniques and equipment. So,
yeah.
I mean I'm not against
did
having it there. It's just
we kind of did the same thing at the Scranton Cultural Center. Every time we went to a different room, we tried to use different techniques so that we can show them different stuff.
My dislike of it is the same as yours. Is it's an app. It's coming off of a piece of technology. I mean, I'm sorry. I think of something and my phone generates it. It doesn't need to hear me talk. So
yeah, Google can read your mind.
So it's so easy to have a piece of equipment generate stuff.
Yeah.
Unless it was really pretty up there, 90% spot on to what's going on, and can tell you things that it can't possibly know. I'm skeptical of it. I'm not against using it again, because maybe I like your idea, seeing if we can find a way to do it with no microphone.
I'll say this about it, and this kind of goes off to a different investigation. When we did the Shawnee Cemetery the very next night, and John and Carrie Ann were using the Phasma box, we turned it on, and something that the very first thing that came through was something that was very relevant to what we were doing. And no one had said anything yet. So that was the first time I've ever heard it kind of, there might be something to this.
Yeah.
So I think that it's definitely something I want to investigate more into.
If it came out with Quaylen's name, because it was you and Quaylen at the Shawnee Cemetery. Quaylen is not a popular name, not like Mike or Joe.
Yeah.
If it said Quaylen, then I'd be like, okay, now we have something.
Yeah.
It's an odd name to generate.
Anyway, so I'm going to grab the steering wheel and steer us away from this tangent.
I go on tangents, but I get back on track, unlike some people.
I've been good about that. Anyway, so Phasma box. There was really only 3 responses that we got that were, that kind of lined up with the questions asked. How many living people are in the room? We got 8, and there were 8.
There were 8.
What person here do you like the most? We got Patrick.
Yes, we did get Patrick, and Patrick is not. I mean, it's common, but not ultra common like a Mike or Joe. It's and Patrick was a cool guy.
Yeah,
of course you liked him.
And then you got do you mind that we are in this room? Absolutely. All right, that sounds about right based on what we've heard about A3. So next we suggested, well, hey, let's do the Estes method. And originally, Rob wanted you to go in that room down the hall. And Tanya's like, no, I'm not doing that. So instead, we got her to sit in the hallway. Everybody else was in the room. She was in the hallway. I stood in the doorway. So, as we said, we didn't feel anything at this prison. Nothing felt heavy or anything. Until she went under the Estes method, all of a sudden that hallway got really, really heavy. I had a big pressure on my chest. I was finding it difficult to breathe, And if it lasted much longer than it did, I was probably going to walk out of the room, walk out of the building.
I wonder
take a
if
breath.
maybe it would have been better if you went under that time.
Maybe.
Now, for me, and we had a big discussion after the day after, a few days after, regarding what's going on. There was many times throughout the night where I would walk into a room. I know definitely the mess hall, and I believe it was a little bit in A3, to where I felt something. Like you walk in, you feel that initial heaviness, or you feel like there's something there, there's energy there, and then it just disappeared. And generally, when I've been doing the Estes method, I can get really deep into it. I can feel like I totally disconnect. I was not feeling it at all. Like I felt like I got nothing.
You did get stuff. It wasn't as good as usual, but yeah, I didn't really. So this was the only place I felt that heaviness, and it went away maybe like 30 seconds to a minute into it. Like you started getting some responses, and then it went back to normal. I was really about to just I need to step out for a minute and leave, because it was getting that bad.
Like you were really getting into it.
Like I was struggling to breathe. It was that heavy.
The only thing that happened, and I'm sure we're probably going to get into it since you have like the whole list here, was towards the end. But for those that have done the Estes method, you know how it just kind of pulls you into a trance, how it does isolate you. I mean, if you're under it correctly, you feel completely isolated. And personally, I like that feeling now. I like that feeling of being completely removed. And I still get jolty when you pull me out, when you touch me or something.
Well, it comes as a shock. You're not expecting it.
But that moment, especially in A3, it felt like I couldn't get to that place. And I think it's more of a personal issue I have right now than it was the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talked about it. Like, I have a lot of walls built up, and this is something that I'm trying to work on. So when we go to the Conjuring house, I can be totally open.
Yeah.
But I felt like that particular one was my worst one under. That I got nothing. Dead air. Besides a few things. And even then, I was like, am I actually hearing it? Like, I was totally conflicted. Besides that last little part, which we'll get to in like a second.
Yep. So let's jump into it. So we do a transcript of the whole Estes method. We're just gonna jump through the stuff that actually got responses. What did you do in your time in this room? Many people. Are you referring to us? No response. Where should we go to talk to you? I'm listening. So okay, you're here. You're listening. And then you said red light. Now, this could have multiple meanings. Rob had a red flashlight. Mm-hmm. So he pulled that out and turned it on. A couple seconds later, and we didn't know this at the time, because this was the camera that I had pointed down in that hallway with all the rooms. It wasn't until just a few days ago that I noticed this. Just after you said red light, the camera in the hallway captured what Rob was calling a red firefly. Now, what is a red firefly? In A3, one of the common things to see are little balls of red light just kind of randomly moving around. Mike saw one. Mike the host saw one and mentioned it while we were there. I was talking to him since the event, and he said that he saw several and just thought they were tricks with his eyes. He didn't say anything until after like the fifth or sixth one he saw. I captured 4 on my camera pointing down that hallway. And
you have the evidence on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Go on our YouTube channel. We have all the raw stuff, and then I consolidate all the evidence down into one 7-minute video, and the clips are there, and I highlight where they are. But yeah, it's a full spectrum camera, so everything's purple and pink, and then all of a sudden there's just these red balls that a couple of them just kind of they turn on and they turn off, and a few of them turn on, move, and then turn off.
Yeah, and I think I know which one you're talking about, because I know the few that you're pointing out to me, I kind of had a hard time, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I see what you're seeing. And there was one that was red that you automatically see.
Yeah.
There was like no doubt.
Yeah, that one was a little bit closer, so it was a little bit brighter. And then you said cigarette. So there was a box of cigarettes on a shelf in front of Tanya. So we asked, do you want us to give you a cigarette? And you said mantle. And, the room that they were in had a big fireplace. There was a mantle. So Rob grabbed a couple of his cigarettes, and he asked, how many cigarettes do you want? And you said, Well, we don't know. We need a number. Is 2 okay? Will 2 cigarettes work? He said 78.
Must have really wanted to smoke there.
Okay. All right. We don't have that many. How about 2? And then I thought, well, maybe 78 was a year. It turns out that was the second year that the prison was open. I wasn't able to find any coincidence or anything that happened in 78 that was of note. You said to move it. We asked who you wanted to move, but you didn't say anything. April 10th, you said. We didn't. I wasn't able to find anything that happened on April 10th at the prison. So maybe it was something personal to whoever we were talking to, but we don't know who that was.
You didn't realize that? I think every time I go onto the SS
You always give
method,
a
I
date.
get a date.
Yeah.
And it's been since the beginning. Since Gettysburg. And that's when we really started doing it.
Yeah.
I've pulled out weird dates, and I'm like, and they really, I don't think so far we found any meaning to them.
Not yet.
Like nothing related to
we
where.
We should go back and consolidate all these dates. Maybe there's a pattern to the dates.
I want to say, I think Gettysburg was in April.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. I don't think it was 10th.
It wasn't the 10th.
But it was definitely in April. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah.
And then in
we got a date in your house. But anyway, yeah, we'll have to go back and look at that.
But I think every time I've been under, I've pulled a date.
Yeah. You said goblin. which is funny because we were talking about Hellier earlier that day.
Speaking of goblin, though, one of the things that Rob says that when can I say it?
When I saw it. We'll get there.
Oh my god.
I actually saw it. We'll talk about it then.
I want to talk about it now.
We're almost there. It's like right here.
That's pretty down the list.
So we asked, where are you from? You said 3 Doors Down.
That's a band name.
I know that. But 3 doors down in the hallway that I had the camera, Rob said there's a room that he gets activity in. And
oh, really?
Yeah. So we end up visiting that room.
Now, mind
in a
you,
little
some
bit.
of this stuff is new to me. Like, I didn't know that you caught the firefly in A3. I saw it, but I didn't know that was A3.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, like, some of that stuff. So seeing this transcript now and kind of gives me more confidence, but...
Yeah. So we asked, well, do you want someone in that room? And you said kick it. Well, who do you want us to kick? Mary Ellen. Nobody knew who Mary Ellen was. You said up north.
Go back. Didn't I get a Mary Ellen a few times, too?
I don't think so.
Scranton Cultural Center. Did I get a Mary Ellen?
No.
All right.
You said up north, and then you said bandana. Now, because of COVID, of course, we were wearing masks. My mask is a bandana. And both Tanya and I were standing due north of the rest of them. Because one of us checked. I forget who checked, but somebody checked which direction north was. And north was pointing directly at us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you heard singing.
Yes, I did hear singing. It was coming out of my left side. It sounded like, not like singing like you sing in a tune, but how, like, imagine someone, like, you saying something and someone's mocking you back, like, you know, what's your name? What's your name? That type of singing. And I think I even mentioned it. Didn't I? During it, I said, I hear who's singing.
Yeah.
Is someone singing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that.
And
no one was singing. No one was even talking.
And
at
it
that
sounded
point.
like, because sometimes when you're under, you can hear the people that are really there. You can hear very low muffles. You can't really make out what they're saying, but you can hear like, meh, 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 meh. Sounds like Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Wah, 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 wah. That one had a very sing-song to it. Like, like the tune, like that's how it sounds. Like the
like,
best way I can say is someone mocking you back.
Like the Swedish Chef from Muppets.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Don't you dare leave that in.
Oh, it's staying in.
Nope.
So.
No, not like that. Sing-songy.
So we asked, do you want us to go to that room, meaning the one that was 3 doors down? You said 5. It still hurts. And then you said, I don't know what you want from me. And that's where Mike said that he saw the firefly.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, is there any... Well, I said, is there anything else you want to tell us before we stop? He said, on the tray. And then you said, if someone... You asked, is someone walking around in front of me? I can sense a shadow in front of me.
Finally get to talk about this now?
So I've been staring down this hallway in front of you for the half hour that we were doing this. As soon as you said that, there was a 4-foot-tall gray mist standing right in front of you. Freaked me the hell out. Because it wasn't there before, then it was there, and it moved a little, and then disappeared.
So what I saw, obviously I have a blindfold on. I am really in the dark. But like when despite you being blindfolded and stuff, you can still you still have that, I don't want to say vision.
You can kind of sense when
you
people
know
are
when
near.
lights are, like the lighting changes, and so
Mm-hmm.
even though it's dark, it goes to a different dark.
Right.
It's hard to explain. So I didn't see anything, but in my eye, on my left side again, the same side that I saw, I heard the singing. I saw it got darker. I think I saw a shadow.
Yeah.
And I felt like someone was I thought it was you, or maybe Rob or someone one of the other guests coming up.
They were all so deep in the room. I hadn't moved. I saw this thing and I immediately grabbed my flashlight and I jumped back a little bit and flashed the light at it. And Rob goes, "What the hell did you just see?" Because from where he was standing, he couldn't see the doorway was in the way. And so I started to describe what I saw. I said, I just saw this gray mist, and it was about, and Rob goes, 4 feet tall. I said, yeah. How did you see it? He goes, no. That thing, that gray is seen in this building all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought to your goblin comment because I'm like, ooh, maybe it's a goblin. But
which could be aliens.
Well, he said, sometimes it appears as a mist, sometimes it appears as a gray, as in
a gray alien.
A gray alien, like the big eyes, big head, tiny little mouth, skinny body, a gray.
Which means if that's the case, is it all connected?
Everything's connected.
Everything's connected. So maybe the paranormal activity is not ghosts, but aliens.
Or both.
Or Bigfoot.
But yeah, so saw the gray mist.
And damn thing didn't even abduct me.
I know. Yeah, that was... Unfortunately, the battery was dead in your camera, and my camera was pointed down the other hallway. So we don't have footage of it. You have to take my word for it, but holy crap, that freaked me out.
Speaking of battery dying, I think that this is the first place our batteries actually died.
Yeah.
And usually
only in that one camera, though.
And usually in other places, everyone else's stuff dies.
And ours keeps going.
Our stuff keeps going. But this is the first time our camera.
Yeah, because after A3, we actually had to go back and replace batteries.
Yeah, we had to
that was the first time we had to.
First time.
Yep. So after I kind of calmed down from having seen that gray mist, I forget who said it, but somebody asked, "Can you whistle for us?" And you said, "I hear singing again." And then you were done. You took your headphones off. Yeah, I'm done.
And I wasn't done because I was spooked out. I just felt I just felt, I don't want to say drained. I just felt meh. like unimpressed with myself. Like I can't explain it. Maybe it was something like that. It put me in a bad mood for a little bit.
I wonder if that gray had anything to do with that.
Like it
Took
just
energy
felt like
from you or something and drained you.
I don't know, because I didn't feel drained. Drained is something like I felt the
Maybe
absence of something. I felt like it
Well,
went
maybe
like
instead of
neutral.
draining energy, it drained like an emotion or something.
Yeah, like it just felt like I wasn't getting there.
So at this point, Rob wanted to go 3 doors down that hallway and do an EVP session. And so he had everyone stand in doorways with their backs to the room to kind of put us in an uneasy place. And then he saw a leg kick out in the hallway. He said it was low, it was darker than the surrounding shadow, and it just kind of a leg kicked out. And unfortunately, my camera, it happened right behind the camera. My camera was pointed the wrong way.
Go figure.
Yeah.
That's why we need 2 cameras pointing in opposite directions.
Yeah. Which we did later in the night.
Yes, we did.
So we go through the EVP session, and we don't get a whole lot of good EVPs here. Well, we didn't get really any EVPs. But Rob started questioning Charles, the kid who supposedly hung himself. And all of a sudden, he jumps. Because he saw something dark fly at him. Apparently, Marie saw it too. At first, he thought Patrick was throwing a punch at him. On film, unfortunately, I don't have it. So we didn't have the camera on a tripod. It was sitting on the ground. And so the top of the camera cuts off Rob's head. So if it was coming at him at head height, I didn't capture. I see him flinch. I see Marie, who was across from him, flinch. That's all I got. But right as that happened, you said you started to smell motor oil.
Yeah, there was like a heavy smell of oil.
Yeah.
Or gasoline. That type of smell. Which I realize I get weird smells.
You do.
I think the last 2 investigations it was BO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and that it's like that heavy stuff. Like did someone not take a bath today? And this time it was the motor oil, and I think I remember that.
That's a very distinct smell too.
Yeah, it smelled like you spill your gas, or like when you're at the gas station, that smell, that really heavy gas motor oily smell.
So Rob tells us that the question he was going to ask before he saw that thing come at him was, "Do you believe in God?" And then Patrick, who's just kind of looking around, also saw the leg pop out in the same place Rob did. So I run down the end of the hallway, grab my coffin pod, and then go back down the other end of the hallway and put the REM pod out where they were seeing this leg come out. And like the rest of the night, nothing happened with the REM pod. And then there was a whistle of an EVP, and that was the only EVP we captured. And I don't have a good enough recording of it. So you guys are not going to hear it because I don't have a good enough recording of it. But we have other whistles later. So we went up to the next floor. Rob gave us a little history up there, but we weren't up there for very long. Nothing really happened. And then it was break time. So we went, got new batteries. Patrick, and then the guest, Mike and Marie, left. And we decided, all right, well, let's go down to the tunnels. And we convinced, Rob had to show us where they were because we didn't know.
Yeah. Now, mind you, this event started at 8:30?
Yep, so at this point, we're
8:30
like
to
12:30?
No, I think it was past 12:30.
It was 12:30 or 1.
It was, it was like, and so like, and we didn't even cover a majority of, right?
Oh, yeah, we
Like,
barely scratched. This place is huge. We barely scratched the surface. We're going back.
Like, honestly, I thought going in, I'm like, oh, like, we're going to hit everything. We're going to be down the tunnels for, like, hours. And I'm like, you probably need that time frame just to do the tunnels. Mm-hmm. If you want, like, a good investigation.
Tunnels are
like
huge.
Like, off of, what was the show that
Ghost Nation.
Ghost Nation. Like, they were investigating. I remember there was rooms through that tunnels. Like, they were like going into these rooms. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be great. Then you think about it, and it's like, okay, they probably spent days there.
Oh yeah, they were there for a full week.
So they had enough time to fully investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely like one of those places where you either need to go back,
Which we are.
You definitely need to take the full time slot they give you.
Yeah. Now, what I don't understand is they all said that they're leaving because they have a 2-hour ride back. Well, guess what? So did we.
Everyone's different, though. Some
Yeah.
people don't like driving like that.
I didn't like driving like that.
No.
That was a little rough.
It did kill us, especially you because you drove. But
Yeah, somebody slept the whole ride home.
That's not real sleep.
It was more sleep than I got.
But everyone, you can't blame people for that, but it does take a toll on you.
It does, yeah.
Especially if you're not used to doing overnights.
Which I'm not, but we might have to get used to it.
I am sort of used to it. I do overnights a lot.
Yeah. So tunnels. So Rob goes to show us the tunnels, and we're like, well, you're coming in with us, right? Because I mean, at this point, there's what, 5 of us total. And so Rob goes into tunnels for the very first time of all the times that he's
peer pressure.
And of all the times he's been
Peer
there,
pressure.
and he's been here dozens of times, never gone into the tunnels. They freaked him out. He didn't want to go. We got him to go. So we get down to the first intersection, we turn left, we get down to the next intersection, and we just kind of stop because the next turn, there's like a 1/4 mile straight of tunnel. And I was all gung ho about, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to place a REM pod, and then Rob mentioned that they find copperheads down there all the time. I'm like, okay,
They mentioned
I'm
that
done.
in the beginning.
They did, but I had forgotten. And I don't like snakes. So I'm like, all right, I'm good here.
I think the copperheads might have deterred me if I saw a whole cluster of them. I still wasn't afraid. I think if I saw them, because I mean, copperheads are sort of poisonous. I really don't think they have any.
Kind of very poisonous.
Kind of very poisonous. Don't think they have
We weren't
any.
that far from the
anti-venom.
hospital, though.
Yeah. Now it would suck if you're really deep in those things and you have to walk.
Yeah.
And then you have to think like, you're really not supposed to more likely they're going to bite your ankle or something. And the more you walk, you're circulating your blood. It's not a good thing.
No. So we stopped at that corner, and we were like, all right, let's do some EVPs. And while Rob was getting the recorder ready, we started talking about the quote unquote devil dog that's been seen in the tunnels, which I guess you didn't hear about because all of a sudden you're like, oh, here, puppy, come here.
I didn't hear the word devil. I heard the word dog.
and Rob immediately looks at me and goes, he's like, don't do that.
It's
actually, you know what? I'm just gonna play the audio because it's hilarious.
No, I already heard the audio. I already heard all that.
If any of those demon dog shit shows up, we're out.
Is that what
I'm out.
they claim?
That's what the Ghost Nation thing said. I weigh him out if I did see a weird dog.
Come here, puppy.
Don't do that. I got in trouble for that in Missouri for calling in a dog.
Yeah, that was fun.
You would call the dog.
I would call the dog. You have devil dogs.
What? No. My dogs are not devils. They're gigantic babies.
What does the devil dog do?
I don't know. I didn't really hear much of the devil dog.
He's never went in the tunnels. He never encountered it.
No. So
next time we go down there, we're bringing a ball,
a squeaky toy.
squeaky toy, and a biscuit.
Yeah.
Duck head. Duck head.
Tanya gets freeze-dried duck heads for my dogs.
Yes, and they love me, and that's how you make dogs love you.
True.
And so I will befriend Devil Dog.
So the actual EVP session, the only EVP we got was Rob asked for a direction. So I'm going to play the EVP now, and then we'll talk about it.
That said left, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it sure did.
So Rob asked, should we go left or right? They said left. Of course, we didn't go. I mean, we went left at the first intersection, but we didn't go left leaving.
I felt nothing down those tunnels.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I've been in types of tunnels before, so like the I guess the claustrophobia doesn't
Yeah,
bother
I
me.
didn't even have that.
I didn't have that. I was getting tired, and I'm like, and it's all like the same stuff. So I wasn't really like, there's nothing here.
Well, so at this point, I pulled out our new Zoom recorder so that we could do live EVPs. And I had the headphones in, and everybody felt the tunnels rumble, and I heard it through the live EVP.
But then again, it was super windy out.
We were underground.
Shakes the ground. I don't know.
Yeah, tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
It wasn't that windy. But, so, yeah, I don't know what that could have been.
But grounds rumble.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's anything paranormal. I'm just saying that happened.
It's the coal miner spirit in me that I'm not afraid of being down in tunnels and shit like that.
All right. So, on to the part that I am most excited to talk about. Third floor of the main building. This was awesome. So, the third floor of the main building, whole bunch of different rooms. Some of them were classrooms. A lot of them have been converted into different churches. Like there was a couple different Christian. There was a Muslim one. There was a Rastafarian one. I forget what all the others were.
To incorporate all possible religions for the prisoners.
Mm-hmm. So Rob had told us a story about someone who had gotten touched in room 309. So we decided, well, let's go to room 309 and do an EVP session. So we're getting there. We're getting set up, and I think it was you and Mike heard what sounded like sliding across the floor.
I don't think it was. I'm trying to think what I remember. I want to say it was like a shuffling. All I know was it definitely it wasn't the wind, because the wind was making other sounds.
Mm-hmm. So
it was a whistle, wasn't it?
Oh, we heard whistles later. This was a shuffling. Or a shuffling, a slide. Mike said it was a sliding. You said it was a shuffling.
Like a scuttle.
There's
like that.
Now, keep in mind, there's stuff all over the floors. The paint's peeling off. It's building up on the floors. So if you take a step, it makes a lot of noise.
It crackles.
So, I mean, it could have been a rat running through this. It could have been a lot of different things.
Could have been anything.
But we heard it. We're telling you about it. I offered that the spirits could reach out and grab my arm. Marie was standing next to me, and she moved away.
We don't care. Like, I mean, I think we get to a point where, like, yeah, now you can touch me. I want something. Just touch me, grab me.
However,
don't drag me, but, you know.
However, Marie also said, do something, unless you're too weak. I'm like, whoa, it's coming from Marie. She's like, she was kind of scared and whatnot at the beginning, but yeah, she was getting over that too.
Sometimes you antagonize because you are scared. It's a form of like, it's like, was it like what's the correct terminology for it? Kind of like a false sense of security, or a false sense of entitlement or something like that, or power, that so you antagonize because you're really scared.
Yeah.
And we really wanted stuff to happen.
We definitely wanted stuff to happen. and we're getting very, very close to where stuff happened. So the EVP session, we got one EVP from it. I'm gonna play that here, and then we'll talk about it for a second.
It's like
All right, so that EVP was obviously 3-syllable or 3 words, and Rob thought it said "get the paper." I could hear "get the paper" in it, but I don't know if that's actually what it's saying. It's not the best EVP we've gotten, but then let me set this up a little bit. You and me are in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
We're both filming.
You were in the hallway. I was.
You were in the
kind of
doorway.
In the doorway. Yeah.
Mike, Marie, and Rob are inside room 309. Rob looks across the hallway into the other room, and he says that he saw a head move from one side of the room to the other, like across the window. And like that, it startled him. You could hear it in his voice. He was startled. And I'm still listening on the live EVP. Just before he said he saw that, I heard a whisper. And it's in the audio. So I'm not going to play that here because you can't make out what's being said. You just hear that there's a whisper. So you could go on the YouTube channel and listen to it. There's really nothing to hear there. But, okay, so he says that he saw something. So I immediately turn around and put my camera in the room. And while he's describing what he saw, I did not see this at the time, but you actually see a black ball move in the room. Then we're talking about it. We're discussing what Rob saw. He's describing what he saw. And I'm looking into the room through the viewfinder of the camera. This is an infrared camera. And the black ball comes out from behind the doorway, through the doorway, and into the hallway, scaring the ever-living shit out of me. I jump back and yell, "Holy shit." And
I remember you saying, "I hope I caught that."
Oh, I definitely caught it because I saw it through the viewfinder.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go to our YouTube channel. Look for our little 7-minute Mid-Orange evidence video. About halfway through it, where we start playing the videos, you can see this. It is clear as day. A black ball came out from behind the doorway, through the doorway, towards me, and then down the hallway. What did I say when we were walking in? When we first parked and we were walking in?
That my goal for tonight is to capture something on film.
And I did. I was so damn excited that I got that. As soon as Saturday, we got back to my house. Well, and then we fell asleep.
Saturday, I don't even remember walking into your house.
As soon as I woke up, first thing I did was I went out, I pulled that video off the camera, and I went to that section to see if, yes, indeed, I caught it. And I did, and I immediately sent it to Mike and Rob.
Yeah, that's generally what we do. If like the last time with the no, I was definitely awake for that. I think that was, we went back to your house, pulled up the computer, see if we caught it. Like, yep. If we think
and then went to sleep.
Yeah, if we think we have solid evidence, we immediately look for it because it's thrilling.
Oh my god, I must have watched that clip several dozen times at this point. Just over and over and over watching it.
And it's not dust. It's not.
So we have dust, tons and tons of. This was a very dusty place. There's tons of dust there. The dust reflects the IR light, and it appears white.
Yes.
This was not. This was a large black ball, about the size of a child's head. Maybe like volleyball size. No, a little smaller than a volleyball size black ball. Never, in all of the many hours of footage that we have captured, have we ever seen that before.
Yeah, usually we're very skeptical about orbs and things flickering.
Yep.
Because 99.9% of the times it's
dust,
organic.
It's a bug. Oh, well, you watch these orb videos online and on these ghost hunting shows. What are they? They're always white. This was black. Yeah. So whatever it was absorbing the IR light, not reflecting it. So that means it wasn't something physical.
Yeah. And it's not something wrong with the camera, because if that was the case, we would have been seeing it other times, correct?
Mm-hmm. So, naturally, we're like, we're going in that room across the hall now. So we go in there. I take Tanya's camera, and I move the
Did
chair.
you almost call me Tanya?
No, I would never call you Tanya. She loves being called Tanya.
Oh my god, you almost did it.
No, she hates that. So I take the cameras. I put them both on a chair in the hallway, pointing in opposite directions, so we have the entire hallway covered. Captured nothing.
And see, that's why I thought you captured the fireflies. I didn't know it was down in A3.
Oh no, it was in A3.
I think I was confusing myself. I was assuming that was all upstairs.
So as we're setting up and all that in this new room, we hear a whistle.
Yes, that's where I heard the whistle at.
So we've been hearing whistling all night. That's very clearly the wind. This was not. This had a tone to it.
Yes. That's what I was talking about. I remember the scuttling, though.
Yeah.
But the whistling, it was not like...
And I got the
wind
whistling in
whistling.
audio. So, yeah, I'm gonna play the whistling for you so you all could hear it.
This had like a like how you said, like a tune to it. Like it was, doo doo. I forget how the actual whistle went.
Here,
You gonna play it?
I'll play it right here.
Everything is 50, 16 cameras set up in there, but wow.
That was a whistle.
Everything is 50, 16 cameras set up in there, but wow.
That was a whistle. Yeah.
Yeah. You notice everyone just shut up?
Yeah, because you can know when the wind... I know what wind whistling is.
Yeah.
That was a whistle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sure if you're listening to our podcast, you can tell Tanya's very skeptical about this stuff. So for her to be the first one to say that was a whistle, that was definitely a whistle.
In the moment, I get excited, and then I start picking it apart, and I'm like, oh, it could be this, or that. Very rarely do I ever say, that was a definite something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think everything I question. Like, whenever we get answers off the REM pods, I'm like, could it have been this, or that
Mm-hmm.
caused it to go off? Besides the disembodied voice, that one, the whistle, I don't know.
And the giggle.
And the giggle. I did hear the giggle.
So the last thing that we got in the third floor of the main building was we were reviewing another EVP session that we did in another part of the third floor, and we were inside of a room, and I heard footsteps in the hallway. So they're kind of hard to hear. I'm gonna play them for you here, but yeah, there's definitely footsteps in there. Right at the beginning, you could kind of hear them, like 3 or 4 steps. So I'll play that. First one, I just heard footsteps out in the hallway. So that was pretty much it for the main building, which I definitely want to do more on the third floor of the main building next time we go back. So now we go on to our last place of the night. We go back to the mess hall, the cafeteria area of the mess hall. So we set up some cameras in the mess hall. We set up some REM pods in the mess hall. And then Estes method again. Big shock. We did the Estes method. So Tanya went under. And first thing you said was, "How are you?"
And this one, I felt a little bit better, like a little bit more into it.
Mm-hmm. So you said, "How are you?" We said, "I'm good. How are you?" We asked, "How many people are here?" And you said, "All over." I don't know if that meant there's a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
around, but you did give us some numbers. We asked what you do in this room, what do you do here, and you said 384. Then there was a pause, and you said 7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's any connection with those numbers. I tried to find one, no dice, but I don't know room numbers inside the building, if that had
Or
anything to do
inmate
with it.
numbers.
Inmate numbers. I don't know.
I don't know how inmate numbers work. I don't know if it's a collection of numbers and letters.
I don't know either.
Yeah, you don't go to jail that much, do you?
No, not too often.
No.
But only twice. Once was a visit when I was a kid, and once was a ghost hunt that we're currently talking about. And then you said Vito,
Mm-hmm.
which is the guy we were hoping to talk to all night. You said on the way home that you heard Vito a few times, but you
Yeah.
only said it once.
I only said it once. Because, again, I doubt myself. And in my head, now mind you, I was already kind of like in a bad spot with the Estes method and wasn't really feeling it that night.
Mm-hmm.
So I automatically go back to skeptical. And I'm thinking, is it because I heard his name so many times tonight that I am hearing the name, because Estes method, you don't always physically hear words. Sometimes you see words or
Right.
things come to you. And I was hearing it, and my mind's eye saw it, and I ignored it because I'm like, is this all my subconscious? And one of the rules is that you should always speak everything you hear, despite what, because you don't really know what's being said to you.
Right. I mean, for all you know, we could have been asking.
And I get the sense of like fallacy. Like, do the people outside are they thinking I'm making it up? And I get that fear. Like, oh, I said Vito. Well, of course I'm going to say Vito because, that's all we've been talking about in this area. Why not? Oh, well, then maybe
But
she's...
on the flip side, we kept talking about Vito because that's where he died. So it makes sense
It's
that
like,
Vito comes through.
I have to get over. I have to, that's my critique is that...
You don't have to get over anything. You just have to follow the rule of say everything you hear.
Yeah, that's my critique of myself is that I have to... Well, no, I do have to get over my own self-doubt because I think that's kind of what's blocking me a lot is that I've got it in my head now. Like, do they think I'm just putting on a show?
Well,
I?
That's why we offer it to other people so that they know that we can't hear them.
It's that self... Like, I'm self-conscious. I'm like I don't want to come off as fake or be perceived as that because I truly want to be as authentic and as open as possible because I want real evidence. Yeah. I don't want a dog and pony show. I want real things to happen. Or nothing to happen, if that's the case, because then it just...
However, if you get the devil dog down the tunnel, you'll have the dog.
I'll have the dog.
No ponies.
Squeaky toys. Sorry, Rob. He'll never go down those tunnels again.
We asked, do you get bored being here? And you said maybe. What do you like to do? And you said, feel my finger or in my finger. Or...
Pull my finger.
You said there is the hangman. Now, nobody was hung there formally. So, I don't know if hangman was slang term for somebody, if that was somebody's nickname or what.
Maybe they're playing hangman.
Maybe they were playing hangman. Then we got, you said he's marked. Who's marked? Martin. No idea who Martin was. Then Rob heard a voice with his own ears, but nobody captured it on any audio. So
going back, doesn't marked in like prison slang and stuff mean like you're marking somebody, not physically marking them, but you're marking them. You're pointing them out for to be in trouble, or they're gonna get shanked, or other things. You know, they do more than shanking in prison.
I know, but it's fun to say shanked. Then we got, some of the words from you. Hello, leave him for real, no hope. None of it really jives with what was being asked. And he said Robert. And on the audio, you just hear Rob in the background go, "Oh, don't do that." And he says, "Yes."
What is it like to be called Robert?
I don't think he wanted to be talked to by the spirits. You said, "Don't move. Grab his ankle." And this is where it started getting really good. You said, "Help me." Rob and Marie started laughing. They were having their own conversation about something grabbing Rob's ankle. Nothing grabbed Rob's ankle, but because of what you said, they're laughing. And you yelled, "Don't laugh." And so Marie immediately apologized. Like, we weren't laughing at you. We were laughing at Rob's ankle getting grabbed and all that. So then you said Henry. And remember that Henry came up, because we're going to circle back to Henry real quick. He said, "Go get him." So I asked, "Go get who? Who's Henry going to get?" And you said, "What are you going to do?" Mm-hmm. Then we got Pinch You, Got Devil, 8, Call Me. Around this time, Rob started taking pictures. He's walking around a little bit, taking pictures into the dark. And 2 of the pictures he got had this weird, like, white, misty figure in them. So we were all looking at his phone, looking at the pictures, talking about it, completely ignoring you. They kind of forgot you were even there, but we were doing our own thing.
I'm sitting there talking to myself.
Well, what's fantastic is going back and listening to the audio while we're talking amongst ourselves, and we even stepped away from you another 10 feet. You're like, "Hello," and then while Marie's talking, you said, "Never mind her, listen," and like you're yelling at us, like we're not paying attention to you anymore. and what did you say next? Did you hear that? Like, no, we didn't hear that. And then you get some more stuff that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Mm-hmm. In the face, magic, hell no, stand there. We went back to talking about the pictures, ignoring you again. And you yelled, "Shut up." So I said, "Well, are you mad that we're ignoring you?" And you yelled, "Her." Which Maria immediately thought it was talking about her, but my thought was, no, we're talking through her. Pay attention to her.
Or maybe they didn't like that you're talking about the pictures.
Could be. But right after you said her, Rob just stops and says, "Holy shit, did she say Henry?"
That was like a while ago.
Like 5 minutes ago. Where the hell were you? And so Rob goes, "Hold on." Pulls out his phone, goes through, finds a EVP that he got in the mess hall some weeks earlier. That he showed me. The name of the file was Mess Hall Henry. So he played the recording. So I'm going to play that right here. Mm-hmm.
Here, listen.
Henry.
So you could hear in that the EVP he got at this other time had Henry come through. So for him to get that EVP weeks before, never mention it to us.
Yeah.
And then for you to say Henry in the same location, that adds a lot to it.
And Henry's not that common of a name.
Nope. You said look up. Look up will become important in a moment. You said the basement, which we were already in the basement. We weren't going to go back. We didn't have time. And then Mike saw a ball of mist behind Rob that he said was very similar to what Rob had caught in the picture. So when we were talking another time, and we were talking about this in particular, and thought, well, maybe that was Henry, kind of watching what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're talking again, and you yelled, "I warned you." So again, thinking maybe there's kind of a threat there.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, hey, stop talking amongst yourselves. Pay attention to me. So a couple more things came through that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then I said, okay, well, we're going to end this soon. We have to go pretty soon. Do you have anything you want to say before I pull Tanya out? Robert, okay, what do you have to say to Rob? Play. And Rob says, well, do you want me to play your voice again? So he played the EVP again. And then I pulled you out. So then Marie wanted to try it. We only have 5 minutes left before we're done. When we have to.
We really went to our
to our limit. Yeah, because there's a guy that works for Hudson Valley Sports Complex who's there all night because he has to lock up when we leave. He's waiting for us to leave. So at 4:00 we're done because he wants to lock up and go home himself. So Marie goes under the SS method. As soon as she does, me and Mike happen to, I don't know if you looked.
No, I saw.
You
I was right by you. I pointed it out too.
Okay. So we just happened to look up, like you said to do earlier, and a feather fell out of the ceiling. And so you got to keep in mind, it was really dark. We just saw this white thing come down to the ceiling, go to the table, and then gone. It's gone.
Yeah. Like,
And
at first I didn't think it was a feather.
I didn't think it was either.
You just see this white thing fall down and then just disappear. And then when we finally looked, we're like, all right.
Because I went over and looked at the table, and there was nothing on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we were kind of speculating, what was
what
that?
the hell was that? Because it was obvious.
I don't remember. It was either you or Mike said, maybe that was a feather, because there's bird shit all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But two tables come together right there, and it turned out that it was a feather, and it
went down the crack.
It went down the crack, because there was a feather sitting right below it. As soon as we saw that it was a feather, Marie goes, I hear someone giggle. I hear a kid laughing. So I'm wondering if there was a child there who was kind of playing a little prank on us.
Yeah, like throwing feathers down or
Mhm.
something. Now, mind you, that whole time that we were there, nothing fell down. I mean, aside from like the dust being kicked up, nothing fell.
No.
Like there was nothing, like we weren't shifting or hitting anything that would...
And for as windy as it was, like this place is pretty well put together. Like we were hearing the wind, but it wasn't drafty. Like,
yeah.
the tunnels were drafty.
Yeah.
But the buildings themselves were not.
But yeah, so like, and it just glided down.
Yeah, it wasn't like it blew across. It literally just fell straight
right down from the rafters, wherever,
Yep.
I mean, mind you, that could have just been coincidence, but
could be. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff could just be coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have
a whole ton of coincidences.
yeah, and we're seeing this fall out of nowhere, and then Marie hears a kid laughing. So the only other things that Marie really got were hi, hello, but she was only under for a couple minutes, and it was her first time doing it. It really takes some time to kind of get used to it. So that was the end of that, and that was the end of our investigation of Mid-Orange. We went back to the staging area, started packing up, exchanged information with everyone. We've been in contact with Rob and Mike since then.
Awesome guys, the whole group was awesome.
Oh, we had a blast.
This is our second investigation with Ghost Hunts USA.
We will be doing
Both
more
of them
with them.
Were very good, professional. But I mean, I have to give these guys a little bit extra points. They were kick-ass cool, and we made a lot of connections that we hope go pretty far in the future.
Yeah. There was definitely a few things that happened that night, not investigation related.
Synchronicity
that could be leading to Empty Casket growing quite a bit. And one thing that we didn't mention yet that I probably should mention, this was my birthday present.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen December 4th. No.
Yeah,
December 4th. His birthday is December 24th, so he wasn't getting it then.
No. It was supposed to be December 4th, and then because of COVID, it got pushed to March 19th. And then we got an email saying, oh, we're not going to be able to do the 19th because of a scheduling conflict. Pick one of these
another
other
day.
dates. And so the next available date was the 30th of April. So that's when we
Because,
went.
I mean, they did have one in January or February, and we're like, yeah, we're going to
gonna
a
be
prison. It's
cold.
going to be cold. We don't want to do this.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, unless you're guaranteeing us heat.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing that we should mention is, so this was April 30th, which, obviously after midnight it became May 1st, which is Beltane. And for those of you who don't know what Beltane is a pagan holiday that's been incorporated by Christians. It's May Day. It is the day that pagans believe that the veil between the living and the dead is thinnest, second only to Samhain, otherwise known as Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the counterpart to Halloween.
Yeah, it's like
It's the day. So Halloween, Samhain is the day that fairies move from their summer homes to their winter homes. Beltane is the day that they go from their winter homes to their summer homes.
They migrate.
They do migrate. Beltane is if you're familiar at all with The Witcher, Beltane plays a big role in the Witcher series.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a really cool holiday. It's a holiday that celebrates the goddess and the god getting together, and by getting together I mean getting together. In fact, even the maypole, which is this innocent thing that kids play, was originally done as a kind of symbol of the god and the goddess getting it on. You're intertwining the ribbons and all that.
Spring is a time of fertility.
Exactly.
And now's the time when things are, procreating and life is coming through. So, and it's not just a season that is celebrated in what you assume, the Celtics and, even the Native Americans.
Yep.
Bring in, they have their own beliefs regarding this time of year, and it's very similar.
Yeah, there's similar things throughout all of Europe into Asia and all that, and then the Beltane festival was kind of adopted by Christians, as they did with most of their holidays. And so we were expecting big things to happen because it's Beltane.
We didn't even think about that, not even when we were booking it again.
No, not when we were booking. It was a week before when we realized, oh, we're going to be investigating on Beltane. And then the following night, so this was the night of May 1st, me and Quaylen went and did an investigation at Shawnee Cemetery, which you'll hear about in the next podcast. Important lesson learned: don't do 2 investigations in one weekend. Oh, that was brutal. It was fun. We had a great time, but it was brutal.
I'm kind of really interested in hearing that podcast. I wasn't there. I had work. I also didn't want to be there for other reasons because we actually did a really cool experiment.
Yes.
Quick little preview. I have a lot of connection with that cemetery. It's kind of really near and dear to me. I grew up in that cemetery. But was going there since I was a young kid. So that's kind of my little special place. And so we came up with a really cool idea to test some theories. And that has to deal with me.
I'll give it even a little bit more of a taste. Tanya hid something in the cemetery. And then it was up to me and Quaylen to have the spirits direct us to it. Did we find it? Maybe we didn't find it. You'll have to tune in next time to find out.
The suspense.
I know. Anyway, back to Mid-Orange. Mid-Orange was awesome.
Yes.
The EVPs we got were fantastic. We definitely want a DR60. But we don't want to pay thousands of dollars for one. I captured something on video. Not only did we capture it on video, but it scared the shit out of me in the process. It wasn't the figure I was hoping for, but it's still something came out from behind that doorway, through the doorway, towards me into the hallway. I was so excited so excited. I so badly want to go back to Mid-Orange. That's definitely one of the places I really want to go back.
I think we want to go back to all of them.
We do want to go back to all of them, but I would say out of every place we've gone so far, Mid-Orange is the top of my list of where I
Mid-Orange,
want to
I
go
feel
back.
like we haven't even got to through the surface of it.
No.
Like we just touched. It was like the tip of the iceberg.
It was 3 large buildings and tunnels.
That's something that needs to be investigated a few
over
times.
and over and over again. Yeah.
So.
And one of these times that we go, we need to bring a third person with us.
Thank you.
Mainly so that you and the other person can do something and I could go to A3 by myself.
You have more balls than I do.
I say that now. Who knows how scared I'll be in the moment, but that's my intention.
And for future investigations, we're coming up with some really cool like inventions.
Yes, I am working on a multispectral camera. The answer box that I made a while ago, I'm improving that. We've used it a few times. We see its shortcomings, so I'm improving upon that. We mentioned at the beginning of the show we're going to start selling some of our coffin pods.
Yep.
We have plans to make smaller pocket-sized pods, REM pods.
Mm-hmm. REM pods on the go.
We have a experiment that I just built the prototype for today. So there's this theory that running water helps kind of builds paranormal activity.
Usually when you have running water under a home or nearby or something like that, you have higher... That's the theory.
Yeah.
You have higher paranormal activity occurring.
So Tanya came up with the idea of, well, what if we had a little pump that just pumped water in a circle through some tubing? Would that provide enough energy to kind of spike paranormal activity?
Putting our equipment in the middle of that.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, it's not going to... Obviously, it's not as big as a stream or a lake or a river or whatever you have. Not a large body of water, but just enough to kind of centralize it and focus in on that.
Mm-hmm. So I built the prototype today. It functionally works. So now I'm going to kind of package it up a little bit so that it's actually, transportable.
Mm-hmm.
And at our next investigation, we'll be trying that out, see if that has any positive effect. In addition to that, we bought a old teddy bear and a really old little stuffed bunny. We're going to put a K2 meter inside the bunny and a REM pod inside the bear, so that if we have any children at a place that we're investigating, we kind of entice them with that's a horrible way to say that.
Enticing the children.
Yeah.
Why don't you just put free candy down?
I'll paint that on the side of the van.
Wow.
Okay. That went off the rails. Keep in mind, we're recording this at like 10:30 at night. We're both
past
tired.
our bedtime.
Way past our bedtime.
So conclusion, Mid-Orange, awesome.
Yes, Ghost Hunts USA, awesome group. We had mixed reviews before we had a couple places booked with them. We've been hearing mixed reviews about them, and we didn't really know what to think. But between White Hill and Mid-Orange, they've been amazing. It's definitely recommend them. They're very professional, and if you could show them off the bat that you know what you're doing, they give you a little bit more free reign, because they're really geared towards the novice. But if you're experienced, they provide you the opportunities to do
which is
more fun
awesome.
stuff. Yeah,
because any level, like, you don't want to be thrown on your own if you have no idea what to do. But if you have some level of knowledge, you also don't want to be tied down and given lectures, or not lectures, but given like the education of how to use equipment that you already have in your possession.
Yeah. Rob's in the mess hall. Rob's going through all the equipment, and I'm just sitting there like, I literally have all this equipment strapped to me. I wear a military molly vest with a bunch of different pouches and stuff on it, so that we can put all our equipment in it, so it's easy to carry, and we have it with us. We don't carry everything, but it allows us to have a lot of stuff with us, so we don't have to keep going back.
Fanny pack.
Yeah, like a hip pouch.
Fanny pack.
It's a hip pouch, but if you want to call it a fanny pack, that's fine.
But yeah, so like, they do cater to all levels
Mm-hmm.
from the
Especially
'cause-
their 13 events.
Mhm.
Their 13 events are some of the venues that they limit it to 13 people, and they're typically geared more towards the experienced people. Now, novices can still go there; they don't limit it, but generally it's more geared towards the experience. Conjuring House is one of those in the 13 series.
which if we haven't mentioned before, we're going there.
We are so excited. So they just did their first Conjuring House with Ghost Hunts USA a week ago. I've been, we've mentioned Rob several times so far. I've been in contact with him ever since this event. I was talking to him the other day, and he was telling me some of the stuff that they had happened on their first night. I am so
Just the
so
stuff,
excited.
I guess they do like a kind of like a group, like didn't they go to the house prior to opening it up to the public?
Mm-hmm.
For like kind of like, I guess for all the investigators.
Well, they were just there a couple hours earlier to set up.
He said that he like experienced crazy shit.
Yeah.
With the well and stuff, and
remember
that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was that. Didn't you
that
say
was that Conjuring.
That was that Conjuring.
So.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh,
we're excited. I'm hoping we get some good stuff there.
So excited.
And we have some like plans on that too, how we're gonna approach it.
Yep.
Generally we try to go in with not a lot of knowledge.
Well, it's the Conjuring House.
But this
we have the knowledge.
We have the knowledge, and we're gonna use it to our advantage.
Yeah. And I'm gonna do something really stupid. At some point, I'm gonna try to be sitting by myself in a room, and I'm gonna ask whatever's there to scare me.
Yeah, he's really stupid.
But I'm gonna turn every piece of equipment I have on first: cameras, audio, the whole 9 yards. Because there are lots of apparitions.
I would
seen there.
laugh. I would die if like you asked that, and then all of a sudden you see like a snake, like a real snake, an organic living snake, just crawl out of somewhere.
You might hear me scream.
And then I'll be like, you told it to scare you.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so that concludes Mid-Orange and our investigation.
Yeah.
Overall, very good. Definitely going back. Definitely recommend it.
Yep.
Perfect for all levels.
Yeah, and any of the audio, you want to hear it again, go check us out our YouTube channel. Any of the videos you want to see, if you want to see those fireflies, if you want to see the black ball that scared me.
You want to sit through all those hours of just raw footage and see how silly we act sometimes? Go for it.
Or if you want to see, so there's a lot of time of just a camera sitting there staring down a hallway when we're not there. If you want to go and look through it and see if you could find something that we missed, by all means, go ahead. That's why we put it up there.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'd like to wish you a good night.
Good night.